Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. Dear students, today we are going to discuss the chapter The Portrait of a Lady, and it is composed by Khuswant Singh. It is composed by Khuswant Singh, a well-known Indian author, politician, diplomat, advocate and journalist. But one thing you have to learn about Khuswant Singh, that he became famous while he wrote a novel, and the name of the novel was The Train to Pakistan. The Train to Pakistan was one of his fabulous works. So here on the portrait of a lady, there is a portrait, and the portrait is of a lady, that is author's grandmother. And you came to know that there are three phases of the relationship of author's grandmother, in the chapter. The first phase, the connection or bonding, is being seen here when the author and his grandmother were in the village. After that, in the city life, they got the second phase, and absolutely there whereupon a third phase occurs when she came to know that the author got something very different, unique thing in an English medium school. She was frustrated to see that he was gaining knowledge about Western science and all these things. So she was very frustrated at that time. But here on, dear students, let me tell you first thing, that you have to write down the basic idea, the basic concept of this chapter first. Okay? Or you can say the theme. See, the story is written in first person. And is in biographical mode. Actually, what is the mode? Biographical mode. Okay, it is perception of Khuswant Singh of his grandmother through his eyes. A very touching story that shows the special bond and connection between the author and his grandmother. Between the author and his grandmother. Okay, and the changes which comes in their relationship. As the time passes by. The story is written in first person and in biographical mode, It is the perception of Kushwant Singh of his grandmother through his own eyes. A very touching story that shows the special bond and connection. The story shows a very special bond, connection between the author and his grandmother. And the changes which comes in their relationship as the time passes by. Yes, absolutely. In their relationship, the changes may occur when they shifted to the city. But here on, I would like to teach you word by word here on. But first you have to write down the first few passages or almost two passages word meanings that contains in the first two paragraphs. See. Wrinkles at the very beginning of faults. Wrinkles means of faults. Mental peace means self above the fireplace. You have to write down these words. Disgusting. Disgusting means absurd or undignified. Undignified means not respectable. Not respectable. See, fables. दंत कथाएं जिसको हम बोल देते हैं fables. Fables means legendary tales. Legendary tales. Prophets. Prophets means God's messenger. God's messengers. Slightly. Next word is slightly, and slightly means a little. Slightly means here a little. Crisscross. Crisscross means intersecting lines. Intersecting lines, crisscross. After that, terribly. Terribly को हम कहेंगे यहाँ पर frightening. Okay. Hobbled. लड़खड़ा करके चलना और लंगड़ा करके चलना. Hobbled. Walked lamely. Okay. Beads of rosary. Beads of rosary. माला के मन के. Okay, small balls of a string. Small balls of a string. Beads of a rosary. See, silver locks. White hair. And tightly settled, you know very well. Puckered हो गया आपका wrinkled. Expense. Wide extent. Contentment, mental peace के लिए आता है. Contentment, mental peace. So students, first few paragraph, these words you may have to learn during the study. Let's see, take your textbook open and see the chapter, the portrait of a lady. The portrait, picture, image of a lady. Who is the lady? Author's grandmother. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman She had been old and wrinkled. She had been old and wrinkled, full of faults, for the 20 years that I had known her. It means the author had known just near about 20 years to her. People said that she had once been young and pretty. Once been, she was young and pretty, and had even had a husband. And she had a husband as well. But that was hard to believe. Hard to believe. विश्वास करना मुश्किल होना, लेकिन इस बात के ऊपर विश्वास करना भी मुश्किल है. My grandfather's portrait. Now it is the matter of the portrait of grandfather hung above the mantelpiece. You know, mantelpiece means shelf above fireplace. और आप क्या कहोगे इसको हम अपनी रीजनल लैंग्वेज में? mantelpiece को अंगीठी के ऊपर का टांट, अलमारी, अलमीरा, mantelpiece. In the drawing room, he wore a big turban and loose-fitting clothes. क्या पहने हुए था? टर्बन. टर्बन को हम कहेंगे पगड़ी, कहेंगे टर्बन को. हेड गियर बोलते हैं, हेड गियर. और हेड गियर मीन्स पगड़ी. And loose-fitting clothes, ढीले ढाले वस्त्र. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest. His long white beard, सफेद लंबी दाढ़ी, part of his chest, and looked at least 100 years old. और जो इमेज थी उसमें वो लगभग 100 वर्ष के दिखाई दे रहे थे. He did not look sort of person who would have a wife or children. ऐसा नहीं लग रहा था कि उसके पत्नी और बच्चे होंगे. It looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. As for my grandmother being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. The thought was almost revolting. कौन सा विचार था जो लगभग रिवोल्ट करता हुआ प्रतीत हो रहा? The thought that the grandmother may could have been pretty and beautiful. ये विचार अपने आप में कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी था. She often told us the games she used to play as a child. As a child वो कौन कौन से गेम खेलती थी वो बताती थी. That seemed quite absurd and undignified. वो undignified लगते थे, not respectable. जब वो ये बातें बताती थी. And we treated it like fables of the prophets. हम उसको fables of the prophets के तौर पर लेकर के चलते थे. Legendary दंत कथाएं मानते थे prophets की. God's messenger जिसको बोलते हैं. Means we didn't take them ever worth listening. कभी worth listening ही नहीं समझा उनको. She had always been short, fat and slightly bent. She had always been short, fat and slightly a little, थोड़ी सी bent. Her face was a crisscross intersecting lines. Intersect करती हुई झुर्रियां, काटती हुई एक दूसरे को. From everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her. So terribly old that she could not have grown older and had stayed at the same age for the 20 years. Because, whenever the author came to know about his grandmother, she was continually, seemed to him in the same age. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. Very important sentence, yes friends. She could never have been pretty. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. She may have not beautiful or cute, but she was definitely beautiful by heart. हृदय से, मन से वो बहुत शुद्ध थी, सुंदर थी. She hobbled about. Hobbled. There is a word, hobbled. Walking lamely. और terribly को frightening कहेंगे. Hobbled about house in spotless white with one hand resting on her waist. एक हाथ को अपनी वेस्ट के ऊपर रखती थी to balance her stoop. Stoop means scope. Means just take a balance, bent the body to make a balance. वैसे हम इसको पुपट बोल देते हैं हिंदी में. The other telling her head, her beads of her rosary. One hand माला के मन के जपती थी, beads of rosary, और दूसरे हाथ से जो है अपने कमर के ऊपर वो हाथ रखती थी ताकि अपनी बॉडी के बैलेंस को वो बना करके रख सके. Her silver locks, white hair, was settled and tightly over pale puckered face. Wrinkled चेहरे के ऊपर, पेल चेहरे के ऊपर उसके बाल जो बिखरे रहते थे. And her lips constantly moved in inaudible prayer that can't audible, जो सुनाई नहीं देती थी, इस प्रकार की वो प्रे करती रहती थी. She was beautiful. She was like in the winter landscape in the mountain, an expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. She was, a wide extent of peace, harmony, always, and always remain in the contentment of heart peace. She always had such type of tendency to live. The grandmother and I were good friends. Now, the grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. Students, this is the first phase of their relationship. यदि आपसे पूछा जाए तो जो विलेज का जो जीवन है, जहाँ पर पेरेंट्स छोड़ करके चले गए, वो शहर में सेटल हो गए, और यहाँ दादी ऑथर के साथ वहाँ रहे. She used to wake me up in the morning. She used to wake me up early in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayer in monotonous sing song, in the same tone, संगीत में आवाज के साथ, and bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. She always has a tendency that the prayer that is being recited by her may heard by the author, and he may learn and recite the prayer, but that was not possible for the author. वो इसको वर्थ लिसनिंग समझता था सिर्फ क्योंकि वो उसकी आवाज को चाहता था, उसकी आवाज से प्यार करता था, लेकिन उसने कभी ये जहमत नहीं की कि उस प्रेयर को जो वो गुनगुना रही थी उसको बाय हार्ट वो लर्न करे. Saying, I would listen in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. I listened because I loved her voice, but never bothered to learn it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate, and she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk. Plastered with yellow chalk. Plaster कर देना. Wooden slate का मतलब यहाँ wooden slate means तख्ती, जिसको वो उसके ऊपर प्लास्टर कर देती थी, उसको पोत देती थी, और earthen ink पोत देती थी. Red pen, tie them all in bundle and hand it to me after a breakfast of thick stale chapati. What was at the time the breakfast was thick stale chapati, a little butter and sugar spread on it, और रोटी के ऊपर, ब्रेड के ऊपर ही कुछ सुगर, कुछ मीठा स्प्रेड कर दिया था. We went to school. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. Village dogs के लिए वो बहुत सी चपातीस को अपने साथ भी लेकर के चलती थी ताकि वापिस आते वक्त वो उनको सर्व करा सके. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple. The school was attached to the temple. इसलिए वो दोनों साथ जाते थे. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer. Priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer, while the children sat in the rows in either side of the veranda singing the alphabet of the prayer in a chorus. समूह गान के साथ गाते थे स्कूल में. My grandmother sat inside. दादी अंदर बैठती और read the scriptures. Do you know what you mean by scriptures? Scriptures means religious book, धार्मिक पुस्तकें. When we had both finished, जब हम दोनों का काम पूरा हो जाता, we would walk back together. This time, the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. आते वक्त temple door के पास dogs मिलते. They followed us to our home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis we threw to them. जो चपाती छानते थे उनके लिए लड़ते हुए, झगड़ते हुए, घुर्राते हुए वो आती थी. When my parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us. When they settled in the city comfortably, then they asked us to come there. That was a turning point in our friendship. So, students, you may learn that what was the turning point in their friendship. Everything was as smooth, very good. At the time when they were living in the village. बट जो टर्निंग पॉइंट हुआ जब उन्होंने पेरेंट्स ने उनको शहर में बुला लिया एट दैट टाइम. Although we shared the same room, my grandmother no longer came to school with me. I used to go to English school in a motor bus. अब दादी साथ नहीं आ सकती थी. And she can't able to feed the dogs, street dogs. I used to go in English school in motor bus. There were no dogs in the streets. And she took to feeding sparrows in courtyard of the city house. But she started, feeding sparrows now. So at the right here on, we came to know there is a little bit of, difference in their relationship. They were faded a little bit because now the author, used to go in English medium school. In the previous school, the things taught there were totally different from here on. यहाँ पर साइंटिफिक चीजें होती थी जो उसको पसंद नहीं थी. तो यहाँ से उनके संबंधों में, रिलेशनशिप में एक थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस क्रिएट होता है जो धीरे धीरे बढ़ता चला जाता है. इन नेक्स्ट पार्ट वी मे कंटिन्यू राइट फ्रॉम हियर ऑन.